Mel, Mel, Mel. Everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everyone, Cantonese Cat here. I'm going to talk about a few other miners here. HUD 8, ticker symbol HUD. This is a monthly chart from his IPO all the way up to now. It's a little bit of a unique situation here. HUD always seems to be lagging behind. For example, even during the last cycle, as everybody had, very, very bullish candle around November of 2020. HUD also a very bullish candle here, but it's just kind of barely breaking above these kind of highs right around here. Last cycle was a big laggard. This cycle also seems to be a big laggard too, although it did end up outperforming here a little bit in July. But it's just ended up to be a pretty bad laggard really over the last really 8 to 9 months, whereas all the other miners have really kind of started to break above their technicals and try to have some pretty bullish thing going on, whereas HUD is just kind of really lagging behind. Even on the volume shelf, this is like a very, very heavy volume shelf over here, and price is just kind of testing the top range of this volume shelf down here. There's a lot of lagging behind in terms of HUD. But if you look at the pattern here, it actually looks like this base forming behavior so far over the last 2 years has been very similar to the base form behavior over the last cycle right over here too. There are a lot of these kind of low here, low, lower here, and then another low here, low, low, and low. All of these are marked by these trees or bottoms. So there's a very much a possibility that this candle that we have this month can be very close to here, and then there's a potential pretty bullish candle that could be coming, although there's no guarantee, because right now we're still at the top of this volume shelf, so there's still a lot of resistance above, so there's no guarantee. But there's a potential for HUD to go up higher. And again, I sold out the stock. I just want to be very, very clear with you. I sold the stock, so there's no reason for me to be bullish on it. But I do have to be objective, and this is kind of what I'm seeing. I am also seeing a little bit of like a diamond kind of formation over here, which can potentially be a diamond bottom, although those things are not really entirely reliable. If you pull up some of the indicators, you kind of see that why I say that HUD is a laggard. Pretty much all the other miners that I've looked at so far, Mara, Bitfarms, and CleanSpark especially, the price is way above the 20-month moving average, and the 20-month moving average has been pointing up, like showing you a bull trend. For HUD, you can see there's a flattening of the 20-month moving average, which is good, but because price right now is currently underneath of it, this still serves as a little bit of a resistance. It could potentially break back above, but I think once it breaks back above, probably still need to spend some time on the higher part of the Bollinger Band before you really are starting to develop a bull trend. Right now, it's just flat. The other thing is you are still getting a little bit of Bollinger Squeeze right here. You're not really seeing the expansion. So this is still pretty much of a laggard. It's hitting resistance at a volume shelf. It's hitting resistance at a flat 20-month moving average. And price is still not above on the upper part of the Bollinger Band. So there's still a lot of lagging behind over here. And could potentially take a little bit longer for it to break above, although it doesn't have to. I mean, you never know. I mean, sometimes all it takes is just a couple really bullish candles for you to push above. But then when you have these pretty nice bullish candle breaking above, the other miners could also be doing very well too, right? The price is also currently under the psychological level of $10, and there's a potential that it might take a little bit longer to break above it. Because I'm seeing quite a lot of different resistance here, I'm just not so sure about HUD at this point, but I would not be surprised if it ends up being a late cycle bloomer. If you look at the Ichimoku Cloud, gives you the Tenkan, gives you the Kijun. Price right now is very far from the Tenkan price, but at this point is a lot closer to Tenkan than it is here. Does that mean that it's not going to end up serving as a magnet for price just keep going up there? Sure, it's possible, but Tenkan potentially also serve as a little bit of a resistance too, right? You're talking about resistance here with the volume shelf, with the 20-month moving average, with the upper Bollinger Band, and now you're talking about Tenkan. There's just a lot of resistance above for it to have to break through. A lot of volume shelves over here above too for it to break through before it goes there. But again, you can't rule it out. Depends on how Bitcoin goes, depends on how IWM goes. This could be a late bloomer. This could be a laggard that could catch up. You never know. I'm not in it though. I'm at least not anymore. But that's the Ichimoku Cloud. There's not really any sign that you're going to end up having a Tenkan Kijun cross anytime soon. But not like the other ones that I've shown you earlier. Like Mara already had his cross, CleanSpark already had his cross, Bitfarm probably going to get his cross next month. whereas HUD is still pretty significantly lagging behind. Let's look at a weekly. The weekly might give you a little bit of a better idea. If you look at the weekly Ichimoku cloud, it's still below the weekly cloud, although it's starting to kind of using Tenkan potentially try to flip it as support before it goes up and challenge the cloud again. But it's not even above the weekly cloud so far. It's just been pretty weak price action, unfortunately. If you look at the moving averages, this is something that I saw today. It was pretty interesting. It's getting rejected by the 100-week moving average, which is the black here. The 20 is the orange, 50 is the blue. Right now 20 is pointing down, 50 is also starting to point down here a little bit. So this is a weekly bear trend. And price is getting rejected by the 100 over here, and also by 100 over here. Price got rejected by 20 over here and 20 over here, and there's no guarantee that it's going to stay above 20, and it could potentially close down below 20 here because it's negative sloping. But they're starting to kind of get bundled together here a little bit. So it does make you wonder whether or not there could be some bullish trends that could happen over the next few months or so, although it doesn't look like it's now, and it still looks like right now you have a little bit of a bear trend. These moving averages continue to serve as these resistance levels, if you will. So that's HUD. Another one though, and let's go through a little bit of a different story here. One that actually is looking very, very bullish is CIFR. CIFR has been getting a lot more attention this month. Can you imagine why? Because it has a big giant green candle over here. The lowest it gets was around 2.8. Highest it gets so far right now is getting pretty close to it, but highest it gets was 5.5. It has a pretty bullish candle this month, and there's a lot of technicals that has changed because of that as a result. First of all, if you just look at the trend itself, you can see it's been making some very, very nice channeling up here. And if you look at the volume shelf up here, again, it got rejected at the top of the volume shelf here, just like it did before and the time before that. But it's really been challenging the top of this volume shelf here. Once it breaks above, and the bears know this, which is why they probably end up exerting a lot of energy trying to reject you. But once price gets above 5.5, things can get pretty bearish. It can potentially go up to like $10 relatively quick. It could double relatively quick potentially, because there are some volume shelves up here, but there are just not a whole lot of price history over here to serve as pretty bad resistance or anything like that. It's already tried to break above the supply here multiple times. Right now it's at the top of the range. It is at resistance. I would be a little bit more cautious, but the good thing is that there's a pretty nice green candle over here with very, very strong buy volume candle over here, which tells you that this could potentially end up being the candle before his strong breakout above. It's getting ready for something, it looks like. No guarantee, but it looks like it's getting ready for something on the monthly chart. Now, and a couple of indicators on top. Bollinger Band is getting to the point where it's even getting above the upper Bollinger Band here. The Bollinger Band is expanding, the lower Bollinger Band has been pointing down, upper Bollinger Band is pointing up. The trend is bullish because the 20-month moving average is crawling up. It's been serving as support the entire way. It's making a cup the entire way. Price has spent months number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months on the upper part of the Bollinger Band. This is a bull trend, guys. It's probably going to push up a lot higher. It is looking pretty good. The other thing to look at too is you can see how drastic this looks compared to HUD. Ichimoku Cloud, bullish cross, Tenkan Kenshin cross, meaning that most likely it's going to be the beginning of a pretty powerful monthly bull trend. Sure enough, 2 months after that, it seems to be playing out, right? The other thing is right now, price is both above the Kijun. Actually, it seems like it bounced off of the Kijun right down here. And it's also bounced above the Tenkan here as well. So now both of those are going to serve as support. You can see that the Tenkan here serves support, eventually broke down, served as resistance for a while, and struggled for a few months. Now it's using it as a support again. It broke back above on high volume. This is promising. The only thing is I still would like to see it breaking above this volume shelf right above. I'm actually interested in maybe potentially starting a position on this, although I still don't have a position at this point, but it's starting to look pretty decent. It's starting to look pretty bullish here. Now, that's a monthly. If you look at a weekly, you already know that is forming, kind of like a big cup here and a smaller cup here. I wouldn't necessarily call it a handle because this is a little bit of a messy kind of handle, but big cup, smaller cup accumulation pattern. Buying volume push up, very, very strong. This is a pretty powerful potential breakout of a bull trend here. And right now we're just right here at the neckline of the cup and handle pattern. And once price breaks above here, which I think there's a good chance of doing because of the strong buying volume that's been pushing over weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks now, it's looking pretty bullish here, guys. You look at the Ichimoku cloud, it bounced from the bottom of the cloud, bounced up, and right now you also have a little bit of a bullish crosshair taken over Kijun, and price now has kind of gone pretty strong up on pretty decent volume up as well. So there is a lot of bullishness here. I wouldn't be surprised if price come back down before pushing up higher. There's always that possibility, but to me the trend right now is very, very telling, and it looks like it's kind of breaking out of this pretty long-standing accumulation pattern here, and once it breaks out, it could be very powerful. That is the Ichimoku cloud. If you take out the Ichimoku cloud, if you just look at the weekly moving averages, 20 pointing very, very much pointing straight up, 20 over 50 over 100, 100 is pointing up too. This is a very nice weekly bull trend. This is a full bull trend here. I think it's going to end up being continuing, and it's just looks very nice. It just looks so nice. But anyway, it could go a lot higher once it breaks above, but we are at resistance, so there are reasons potentially be a little bit bearish in a short term. But I can't imagine you being bearish on the longer term here over the next few months at least, maybe 12 to 18 months potentially. It looks like a pretty nice setup here in terms of bullishness here. So those are two I think a lot of people are very much interested in. I can show you a third one and make it a little bit of a longer video here. Riot. Riot has been a little bit sad compared to CIFR, compared to Mara even, and compared to Bitfarm even. It's a little bit of a laggard here. I'm going to start putting out a monthly here. But either way, it is still setting up to be a very, very nice technical. It's still technically a bull flag, and still been coiling up for a very long time. Looks like whenever this bull flag breaks out, if it breaks out to the upside, I think it's going to be a pretty nice uptrend here. What I would like to show is a couple of indicators here real quick. One is the Bollinger Band. Spend months number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 above on the upper part of the Bollinger Band. 20-month moving average is crawling up. You don't quite have the expansion of Bollinger Band because price has just been kind of crawling up sideways a little bit. But I do expect, because price has been consolidating above on the upper part of the Bollinger Band, I do anticipate that price will probably break out above and keep having some kind of bullish continuation, especially since the 20-month moving average is pointing up. Right. That's something that's going forward. The other thing that's going forward is the Ichimoku cloud. Even though price currently is below both the Tenkan and the Kijun, you had a bullish Tenkan Kijun cross last month. And if price is able to break back above the Tenkan, which I think it will because it's just been staircasing up, so I think the Tenkan most likely is going to serve as a better support than as a resistance. And I think maybe over the next month or two, it could break above that. And once it breaks above that, use that as support, it could potentially hit the bottom of this cloud right here in the 20s. Which means I could double the price really over the next few months. And that could be pretty significant. Could it go higher than that? Possible, depending on how crazy RWM goes, depending on how crazy Bitcoin bull market goes. I think all of these things are possibilities. But right now I had a bullish cross, even though both the Tenkan and Kijun are serving as resistance right now, unfortunately. This is a very, very similar story to Bitfarms, although Bitfarm is looking better. And although Bitfarms, the candle is actually engulfing both the Tenkan and Kijun, whereas Riot is actually, unfortunately, the Tenkan is a little bit as a resistance over here. Unfortunately. It's just been consolidating sideways, still waiting for a big move. You know how I know that? Because volume just been pointing down over the last month, January, February, March. Consolidation. What are the whales doing? Whales are buying. Not as impulsive as they were for Mara or CleanSpark, but whales are buying Riot, even though price is going sideways, even though the overall volume is going down. Whales are buying. Something to think about. Weekly. Let me get rid of all this stuff here. Weekly. Consolidation here. You put up the Ichimoku cloud. Got rejected at the bottom of the cloud so far, but it's trying to push back into the cloud. Once it goes back above the cloud, bounce, go up, things will look a lot more bullish. Over the last few weeks, what happened? Downtrend, sell volume, exhausted. When selling volume exhausted, price trying to break back above. So far, it looks like it's trying. We'll see what happens. But it's just been oscillating around the cloud for almost a year now. It's just been consolidating sideways. Once it break out, I think I have reasons to believe that, based on the monthly charts that I was showing you, I have reasons to believe that Riot is going to break out to the upside. Most likely, it's going to look pretty decent after it breaks back above the weekly cloud, which I think will happen. If you look at the weekly moving averages, 20, about 50, about 100. Price right now is below 50, and unfortunately this week so far is got rejected by a little bit of slightly negative curling 50 moving average. But so far this is still a bull trend. 100 moving average is starting to curl up to 100 week is starting to curl up. You actually have a pretty solid base over here. That's Riot for you. Thank you for listening. Have a good one. Bye.